Basically, it's a very interesting book. It got me thinking about certain things that I'm going to share with you right now. And first of all, let's go through my favorite quotes from the book. You know, all our life so far as it has defined definite form is but a mass of habits. And also the another thing here is that there are some habits we have and we do it without even knowing about it. We just are not aware of these things we are doing because it just so it became part of us. Basically, we are doing these things without thinking, which is a very powerful thing to have in your mind. And also, I want to share my personal experiences, how I overcame certain things in my life. Yeah, nobody's going to outwork us. It's also one of my interesting quotes from the book. Yeah, nobody should outwork you, because when you work so hard, I mean, for example, in kickboxing, those of you that have experience in it, like there is this factor of like when you practice kickboxing, for example, or any martial arts, there is this moment of fear, right? Like in your head, you start to overthink. You're like, if I were to try to strike like this, what if I get hit in leg here, like, and what like you start to overthink. Also, you do a lot of unnecessary movements. Like just 3 or 4 days ago, I was practicing and just training for myself some punches, and I sit down after the practice and I was thinking, because even in practice, and I was reading that book here, this book, and I was thinking, I mean, you are asked to practice punches to the point that it becomes your habit. That's one thing, but another thing is like which movements of mine were completely unnecessary right now, like which move, because I could tell that these leg movements were super unnecessary. This punch, like if you want to punch, just punch them, because you are in your head, you are not sure in your head, and in your head you think too much. That's the first thing. And another thing, of course, is fear. Anybody that has been in fight or has this experience understands that when you actually step on the ring, or you got yourself into a street fight, which unfortunately I've got myself into, because I saved one dude from being beaten up. And the idea is that like, when you got in that kind of fight, you just in your head, like because of fear, sometimes you don't really remember how you fight or what happened. Like you have no idea, because the fear factor kicks in, and you are just too confused to basically your head is all messed up, like you just really don't remember. And the key factor is that to just let go and to just feel no fear, because in that case fear is your enemy. But I also remember that in the street fight thing that I got confused, because they were like, I was one dude trying to save another dude that was always scared shitless. And when I got to fight, I was confused because there were like 15 dudes, and I was trying to basically every single these dudes were like hitting on that one dude, and I was trying to pull that dude off from these people. But also when I understood that there were so many people I was fighting to, like I kind of at some point lost control of my conscious mind, because I got afraid. But I remember this thing that I still, because of the habit, I still had this form. I had these places locked, most dangerous places to be punched in. I had this head locked, these places. Because I still just automatically assume this fighting stance in that situation. It was many years back. I was in high school actually back then. And I just automatically assumed this fighting stance. I remember, like, I wasn't like actually consciously doing it, but just as my habit, I understood that, yeah, it's my habit right now. I have to assume this position, or like, shit will go even more bad than it is right now if you don't assume that position. I remember, like, I did this because of habit, right? And once a small win has been accomplished, forces are set in motion that favor another small victory. This is also interesting thing, because once you taste something, like for example, once you taste how great it feels to work out, you just want to work out more because you have these rewards, you look great, you feel great. And the another aspect, by the way, it's barely mentioned in the book, is that, for example, I believe that's the girl's name, which name was Mindy or something. Basically, she used to have this habit of eating her fingers. And I remember as a young kid, probably I was like 15 or 16, I also had that problem of eating my fingers, like doing this. And I wanted to get rid of it. And I tried a lot of things. I tried to remind myself, hey, stop eating fingers. And I was like really focused, and I wanted to overcome this bad habit of mine, which was imposed on me. I actually also remembered how I started eating my fingers. But back then when I was trying to overcome this habit, and nothing worked. And what I actually did was just, I took my fingers. I was doing this finger, and I just took these entire fingers. I just slammed these fingers on the table for the purpose of having pain. And I remember these things were red, and it was like even touching it like this, and it was super painful. I remember every time I would take these fingers to, like it was like so painful that I would immediately back it away. And this is how I overcame it. So yeah, it's not mentioned in the book because maybe it's not like politically correct thing to suggest, but yeah, it worked, and it worked on me, and I've tried this thing in many other things, and it works. Like punishment, like you receive this pain, because my brain was like, oh, if I eat, I will feel even more immeasurable pain. And when I started noticing that thing, I was aware of the pain, right? Because I just slammed these fingers on the table, slammed like forceful, and I just got blood, and I go here. It was painful, but the habit of eating fingers disappeared. I don't eat my fingers right now. It's just done. I actually, after I did that thing, like slammed my fingers forcefully on the table to the point that it became red by pain, and it's like blood in it. I never actually eaten my fingers. And it's been more than 5 years since then, or 4. Yeah, it worked. No, way more than 4. Yeah, around 5 years. So it worked. And also another thing the author don't touch in the book is the effect of games, right? For example, how people get so addicted to these games. I mean, in game you have, basically this is the thing author often repeats in different ways. There is cue, there is routine, and there is reward. And it's like, I mean, how this habit works in online games. Or in games, because people are so attached to playing these games, right? And you have, even if you look at the model of the game, right, there is these challenges you have to overcome, and there is reward, and there is this thing that makes you engaged in it, which is a super interesting thing to have in our mind, right? Because this process, like there is cue, there is routine, and there is reward. You will do this thing, you will get this thing. But also in games we have other aspects, like it's online games. It's not real, but people still play because. So you maybe for each online game you play with your friends. You also have this feeling of connection. You sometimes meet new people, etc. So you have this feeling of community, right? Just like he was talking about in the book about Alcoholics Anonymous, right? Because it creates same. He was explaining in the book that these meetings create the same habit as when alcoholics go actually to the bar to get drunk, right? This is the same place, but instead of drinking, they talk about these problems, talk through about these problems, which is also, also this group thinking stuff. Basically, there is a lot of things this book could have explored. And there are some unnecessary parts also in this book, and some interesting parts that has never been reviewed. So, yeah. This is all I want to say about this book. Okay, guys, if you have not subscribed to this channel, subscribe, and if you like this video, smash that like button. See you.